So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of our data, our mesh and the rig data, and we're going to go to File, Game Exporter. We're not going to use export selection. We could, but in an ideal world, we're going to use the game exporter when we're talking about animations, because a lot more data is going to be going out now. And this is a good way on how Maya handles animation clips. Now, it's important that you fill in all of this data. Like on the desktop, I do want the model file to be called skbob. And for the animation clips, I'm going to come in here. Now, when we add in our animation clips, the easiest way to do it to save yourself time is to click this little bookmark button to load up the time slider so that when you hit plus, it instantly puts that data in for you, and then you can just type idle. Then you would hit the next one, hit the plus sign, type walk. Next one, hit the plus sign, type run, and so on, so that you have them all. Now Maya crashed for me, so I'm just going to select the desktop again as my thing and type anim underscore. And there we go. So now what we can do is we could check settings. And if we wanted it to move to origin or anything like that, we could do it. You do want bake animation, something that's really important with most game engines, unless you're doing really high level optimization, is that you want most of the keyframes, most of the bones baked at a lot of different keyframes, so that when it blends, it doesn't do really weird things when all of a sudden it has to move from one pose to another. It kind of keeps that data and blends it together. If it's missing data for interpolation purposes, especially like IKs, things like that, set-driven keys, it's going to get real confused to potentially not even work if it's not baked. So we're going to export. And it's going through and it's processing all of those files for us. It says export select or export successful. So now we can go back into Unreal. We're going to right click and hit import. And we're going to grab all of our animation files. See how beautiful they came out? We hit open. And this is very important. If you reset to defaults, it's not going to have import animations, which is kind of pointless for us. We definitely want that. The other thing is, this is the most confusing part. You do want skeletal mesh turned on, but you want import mesh turned off. If you turn off skeletal mesh, you'll see animations just goes away. But if you keep skeletal mesh on and turn import mesh off, even though skeletal mesh goes away, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, well, I can still import the animations, but I need you to tell me which skeleton do these animations apply to. And I want them to apply to the one that we've already imported, skbob skeleton, right? This is why it's so imperative that the animators and riggers are on the same page and that everything's correct and that referencing is correct, because you're basing all your animations off of this. If this is a specific way and it somehow got changed in your modeling package but not propagated here, a lot of mistakes are going to happen. What's even harder to deal with is when you have, 2 or 3 animators on the same complex character, and because of that, they are having to do referencing or multiple different files or something like that, and they all need to be in sync. You need to be really, really careful. I can't stress that enough. What we're going to do is then hit import all. Remember, I turned off import mesh, but I left on skeletal mesh. And I'll hit import all because it's set to skbob skeleton. And there we go. It should only bring these in. If it brought in more than this, like it brought in more skeletons and everything, you set something wrong, because all you want is the animation data. That's it, right? So now if we technically open up an animation data file, we can see, even though it quote unquote wasn't set to import the mesh, it is applying to Bob. We have all of our editor here where we can add specialized frames and call scripts and all sorts of really awesome things in Unreal. It's super cool what you can do. But you can test all of these, make sure they're working. The most beautifully bad animations. There we go. So all of that is working. Now what we need to do is set them up to not just work in Unreal, because they already are, but work in our game.